Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to all, and in particular, hopefully our guest of honor, Dr. Vandana Kumar, will be joining us shortly from the Department for the Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. My name is Rajiv Ramchandra. I'm the founder and director of Recreate, which is a research and advocacy enterprise that aims to advance the remanufacturing industry in India. Today is Global Reman Day, Reman being short for remanufacturing, and it's a day on which individuals and institutions from around the world are coming together to shine a spotlight on the remanufacturing industry. As far as I'm aware, this was the first time an event like this has been brought forward in India. And so I'm deeply grateful for the partnership we've seen here with UNIDO, Invest India, and the panelists. Deeply grateful for your participation. Some of you may already be familiar with what remanufacturing is, but in essence, it involves bringing products and components that have reached the end of their useful lives to a like new or better than new condition through a systematic, standardized, and sustainable industrial process. I want to make 3 points that are pertinent from my perspective in relation to our collective aspiration of re-engineering our economy to be resource efficient, circular, and sustainable. The first is in relation to the climate crisis. While the relationship between climate change and industries like remanufacturing may not be apparent, in an industrial economy that operates largely on fossil fuels, manufacturing products that have the ability to deliver utility at the same quality level over multiple life cycles is crucial. It directly eliminates or mitigates the carbon emissions that come from mining or raw material extraction, raw material production, and the intermediate component manufacturing process, as well as the negative consequences, the environmental consequences associated with these activities. The second point is in relation to job creation, especially in the context of sustainable inclusive development. Industries like remanufacturing require the formalization of the product recovery process at the end of its useful life to retain its value. Studies have shown that industries like remanufacturing have the capacity of producing more jobs than material recycling and waste management activities. And the third point is in relation to partnerships. Creating a future that reflects our highest ideals, values, and aspirations is a team sport. It requires collaboration at the local, national, and international levels across a broad stakeholder base. And I'm very heartened to see that this is represented in our panel today. I'm confident that through long-term policy thinking, the wise allocation of financial capital, and through the creativity and ingenuity of private sector innovation, we can accelerate our journey in co-creating a world that puts our shared humanity and care for the natural resources of our beautiful planet at its heart. Now, every team sport needs a few captains, and although he needs no introduction, it is my privilege to introduce one of the many leaders present here today. Dr. René van Berkel is the India representative for UNIDO and is a familiar face in the country on matters of sustainable industrial development. René and the UNIDO India team have been at the forefront of facilitating cooperation and dialogue among stakeholders in India and in developing programs that support the MSME sector and tangibly advance the cause of SDG 12, which is responsible consumption and production. Previously, René was the UNIDO Unit Chief of Cleaner and Sustainable Production and was responsible for UNIDO's contribution to the Global Resource Efficient and Cleaner Production, or RECP program. This program is operational in some 50 emerging and developing countries and supports the organization's Green Industry Initiative. He's also served as Australia's first full professor of cleaner production at Curtin University of Technology in Perth, and has held various research and leadership positions at the University of Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Thank you, René, for leading us through today's proceedings. I'll pass it off to you. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Rajiv, for this kind introduction and even going through the long history of the affiliation with the sustainability agenda. But I would like to be very focused this afternoon, and also welcome to the other panelists on behalf of UNIDO. This is a joint event of UNIDO, Recreate, as Rajiv was introducing, and also Invest India, because as Rajiv was saying, it's also an opportunity for investment, and we need to look at how we can leverage investments into remanufacturing. So we nicknamed this discussion today under the topic of policy and partnerships for developing remanufacturing as an industry in India. And I would like to just give a couple of context-setting remarks before we then go to our chief guests. So I think from UNIDO side, we do this under what is known as just launched a Facility for International Cooperation on Inclusive and Sustainable Industrial Development, which is a DPIIT, Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, and UNIDO partnership to facilitate learning and knowledge creation and projects and partnerships on inclusive and sustainable industrial development. So we are trying to raise awareness, create capacity, and get good practices implemented on this inclusive and sustainable industrial development as SDG 9, which is closely linked to SDG 12. So we're talking about shared prosperity, environmental sustainability, and economic development, or I also sometimes say then factories fit for the future, so that we address the competitiveness issues, that we have a product that's sought after, that we deal with the environment and exceed environmental standards, and that of course we also create a decent workplaces and places for the communities. Of course, today we zoom in on more of the environmental angle in the first instance, and there it's clear that the indications are that we're living beyond planetary boundaries because of this graph, which people might have seen, that we have seen economic activity grow, and we expect that to contribute to human well-being. But with economic activity, we need to decouple that from resource use and decouple that from environmental impact. So we need to do essentially doing more with less for more. So more economic activity with less resources, less environmental impacts, and then also this economic activity to contribute more profoundly to human well-being. And resource efficiency and circular economy as kind of twin concepts are essentially to drive a wedge between this growth of economic activity and environmental impacts. So that brings that to a circular economy, and UNIDO has been trying to emphasize the point that this is not just a recycling economy, but this is really an industrial economy that returns products, parts, or materials into several times along value chains. And I would even go further, that if you say circular, then it cannot just be several times, because then it's a spiral, but it should indeed be perpetual use of materials and keeping them in closed cycles. And that adopts and the principles of that products are more designed to last, and value is maintained within product cycles, and that waste and pollution is minimized, and renewable energy and renewable materials are used as much as possible. So that gives then a number of solutions which we have. So a traditional linear value chain is from material supply, design, distribution, and end of life. And then basically where circularity comes in is bringing then things back. And then today we would like to zoom in on remanufacturing, which I sometimes feel that many people feel this is a good idea, but we can't quite get our hands around it on how can we actually support this and how can we bring this to a bigger scale. Part of it is that I guess, and Rajiv was kind of referring to that remanufacturing as a concept is understood, but what does it really mean? And I go then often to just an online database dictionary, and then you see that it's manufacturing to a new product. And I think that what has been done by in the US is to really highlight the American national standards, that it's a comprehensive, rigorous industrial process whereby a previously sold, leased, used, worn, or non-functional product or part is returned to like new or better than new condition from a quality and performance perspective through controls, reproducible and sustainable process. And I think the crux is really here that we want something which is not a compromise. So second use is not going to be worse than first use. It should ideally be even better than that. So that's the aspiration, is very clear, that we don't want inferior products to come into the market, but we want products which are remanufactured to like new or better than new. And this is then often linked to, and we can have an academic discussion on what is remanufacturing, what is refurbishment, and related processes. And I think that the International Resources Panel, the think tank on resource efficiency issues, has kind of lumped these together into what they would say value retention processes. So processes which retain the value of a part of a fan, of a motor, of an engine part. And they have looked at the benefits of that, and they say that with the 3 product groups that they looked at, vehicle parts, heavy duty equipment, and digital printers, they say greenhouse gas emission reduction from product to product 79 to 99%, material conservation through remanufacturing 80 to 98%. If it's refurbishment, it could be up to 99%, repair and reuse of course fully being done there. But what is also, and cost savings in the range of 50 to 80%. But really important is that this cannot be seen as just an industrial process where we tool around parts and equipment and put it together. But we need to adopt that in combination with innovative business models, including product service systems, so that there is responsibility to bring back the parts and to bring back parts or components or products in a form that can still be remanufactured. And then, of course, we need to also design for remanufacturing so that it's durable, that it can be upgraded and exchanged, and therefore, so it's not just an agenda of picking up whatever comes out of the economy and then trying to remanufacture that, but it's also a concept of really designing for remanufacturing. I will not take too much more time, but I would, and we put that earlier on, remanufacturing could really be one of the strategies for building back better and resilient India, self-reliant, sorry. And I think that what I often see is that remanufacturing is an established sector, and I would like to hear also from the industry participants later in the panel. But it has largely operated in the limelight, and I think that is in part is good. So it's happening at a much larger scale than we probably as customers are aware of, and that's fine, because if it's better than or equal to first use, then it would be perfectly fine. But on the other hand, it's also a bit of a deterrent to get others on this and on the bandwagon for remanufacturing. I think we also need to look in the eyes that there is a little bit of a suffering from negative legacy. So there have been pirated products which have come out as remanufactured, but really being remanufactured to a lower standard, and that has spoiled a bit the soup, if I may use that term. I think that if we move them forward, we're looking at creating a conducive framework and reducing the risk for remanufacturers, so that they know what is legal frameworks apply, what is their rights and responsibility, but also for consumers that indeed as good as new means that you get equal warranty, that the issues are protected there. We need to also look at the reverse logistics, so that everything which comes out of the production and consumption system is worth remanufacturing. And then we need to look also at how that the business models can be structured to really get us back to catalyze investments. So with that, I would like to stop my presentation. So I think it's really is very very interesting perspective, a very interesting sector that we could focus upon.